This is Chapter 6, Lesson 3, page 214, Indirect Proof. Again, I strongly encourage you to read these two pages, page 214 and 215. We use indirect proof all the time in real life. We frequently make observations about something and then draw some conclusion based on those observations because it's reasonable. And the example in the book is as follows. If I'm at home and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching TV and I see somebody come into the house and they're carrying an umbrella and that umbrella is dry, even if I can't see outside, I conclude that it's not raining outside. I make that conclusion because I've used an indirect proof in my mind. We do this all the time. And so the three steps that we're going to use in geometry when we do indirect proof are as follows. The first step is that you make an assumption that your conclusion, well, what if that were false? What if it were raining outside? So I always say that I'm going to assume temporarily that it is raining outside. Then I need to find a contradiction with the information that I do have in front of me. And the information that I have in front of me is that somebody's just walked inside and their umbrella is perfectly dry. Well, that's a contradiction. If it were raining outside, my expectation would be that the umbrella should be wet, but yet that umbrella is dry. And therefore, my assumption that it's raining outside must be false, and my original conclusion, which is that it's not raining outside, must be true. This is called an indirect proof. When we do this in geometry, and when you see this on the SAT and on the ACT, it will be very important for you to always state as your very first statement in your indirect proof that I assume temporarily that my conclusion is false. And so if your conclusion is that it's not raining outside, the very first statement you would make is, I assume temporarily that it is raining outside. Then you would just write out your proof as a paragraph, and then once you reach a logical contradiction, state that this contradiction has occurred, and therefore my assumption must be false. And if my assumption is false, then my original conclusion must be true. That's how we will tackle indirect proofs in this class, and that's what my expectation is that you would do for this homework. If you take a look on page 216 and look at the first couple of written exercises, for example, in the first written exercise it says, if the measure of angle A equals 50 degrees, then the measure of angle B must equal 40 degrees. If I were using an indirect proof to prove this, the very first statement I would make would be, assume temporarily that the measure of angle B does not equal 40 degrees. And then I would go on with my indirect proof. That's the big part that I want you to get from this lesson, is that it's very crucial to always begin an indirect proof by assuming that my conclusion must be false. Then find a logical contradiction using the given information. And then once you've proved that this assumption is false, you've proven indirectly that your conclusion must be true.